I am going to get us on YouTube. I've been instructed that YouTube's a good place for podcasts. And I've had several fans being like, why aren't you on YouTube? And because I'm fucking old, I'm like, because it's not videos. But no, it should be on there apparently, even though it's just a podcast. Shandi and I don't want to be on video. We've both done that. You don't need to look at us anyway. So
No, we're good. No.
Plus, like, we normally do this after doing other stuff in the early part of the day, so we probably look like shit, or we have food on our face. So, you know.
I actually look really cute right now, but whatever.
Do you look good? Do you really?
I
good
do.
Job. Are you going out or something, or you just felt like looking cute?
No, just my hair looks rad. I do have really big sweat rings on my armpits, so I look good, but I stink. So have fun with that.
That's what I'm going to put on your headstone.
I look good.
She look good, but she stink. Or just, here lies Shandi Sullivan, looked good, comma, stunk.
And I thought you were going to write shoe hating Shandi.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember why. Was that from another episode?
That was from Pieces, and I just think about it whenever I see...
Oh, God. Oh, yeah, because you were so fucking obsessed with the loafers. That's right.
Whenever...
I probably, like, cut out 40 minutes of loafer talk, and there were still, like, 15.
I actually had that thought watching this, because I was like, see, Santa's wearing a black boot. But then I went, Shandi, it's Santa. Of course he's wearing a fucking black boot, you dummy.
Must be Santa.
A moment where Ricky's facial expressions and his laugh and everything reminded me of Jack Nicholson saying, "Here's Johnny," with and because he has the axe too. So
yeah, and he goes through in the door, a hole in the door.
Yeah, I went, oh shit, maybe this is a throwback to that, but it made me think like, okay, this kid is just, his brain has completely fucking broken.
The actor or the character?
Maybe it's the actor, because he's like, why am I in this movie?
Yeah, well, and might move stuff around probably, but so hello.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, and Merry December. Happy winter times to whomever is listening for whatever reason and whatever holidays. But we're going to watch, this is Urn Full of Popcorn. Okay, we did that. Said the name of it. And we're going to do, this month, we're going to watch a couple of Christmas movies, right?
Yes, we are.
What did we, well, and today we're actually talking about more than one movie as well.
Yeah, we are going to talk about Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2.
Yeah, and the reason for that is that, it's really together. It's about 3 hours, maybe not. No, it's like 2 hours and 20 minutes of film together.
That first one flew by so fast. That second one, though,
yeah,
I said to you previously, I thought I was losing my mind because I had never seen Part 2 and didn't realize that I was basically gonna rewatch 40 minutes of the first one again.
See, I thought, Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 is one of those assumptions horror nerds make about each other, but, there's always going to be gaps. So I just figured you'd seen it because it's kind of notorious and famous. But yes, so then when you texted me, and you were watching it a little bit ahead of me, but when you texted me, you got to Part 2 and you texted me like 20 minutes in, you're like, what is this? Yeah, you said, I'm losing my mind. And I'm like, oh, she's never seen this. Oh, my God.
I didn't know there were so many sequels. I thought there was just one.
No,
but there's 4.
Yeah, I've got the whole pentology as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I can. I'll tell you about some of the sequels as well, because it's an interesting series. One is probably the best movie, although Part 4 is pretty goddamn interesting, especially when viewed as a Christmas movie. But anyways, so Part 2, so Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 is the story. It's a Killer Santa movie. It's probably the most famous Killer Santa movie, or one of the most famous, wouldn't you say?
I think so. It's what I think of when I think of Santa Claus killing people, murdering them.
Yeah, for sure. And that famous cover, that you'd see in the video store of a chimney with a hand Santa Claus's hand coming out of it with an axe, right?
Yeah, it's really cool looking.
Yeah, it was one of those that I remember seeing in the movie or in the video store like 100 all the time, just constantly as a kid.
Yeah,
And,
I always looked at the covers in Blockbuster. I never really would read the back. I would normally want to rent it because of what the cover looked like.
Yeah. And I was, like we've discussed, I didn't get into horror movies till I was an adult. So when I was a kid and saw those, I'm like, oh, that looks too scary. And I would move on. This one, Pigs, and which you watched, right? Like a year or two ago, you were texting me and said, I've just watched Pigs. Or maybe it was more recently than that. And you said, like, you seemed surprised at the movie. I haven't seen it, but you seemed surprised as to what it was actually about.
Pigs?
You remember this?
Did I watch that?
I could be thinking of somebody else, but there's only a finite amount of people I will text about horror movies, and only a finite of people in that group that would watch something like Pigs. And so it's like,
maybe I did. I can't remember.
I feel like
that
you
I
did. I'll look through our chat history sometime. But yeah, anyways, but you know what I mean. So there's those movies, and this is one of the memorable ones where you just like saw it in the video store and like, oh yeah, that movie, and you're just kind of aware of it your whole life. And it is. I mean, in some ways, it's a classic, But and then we watched the sequel because if you don't know, the sequel involves a character from the first movie that we meet years later as an adult, and he's in the asylum. And so the first half of the movie is him explaining the first movie. But it's weird because his character isn't around for most of the events of the first movie. And he's talking about it like he was there. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, he said his brother Billy told him everything, but then he actually says, well, I was there. I'm like, well, which is it, you psycho?
Well, and when he says that, he's talking about when his parents were murdered when he was a baby. Like, he was a baby. He was like a baby. Like, it looked like 6 months old tops,
I hadn't seen this movie in quite a long time. I forgot the entire part about his parents being murdered.
Yeah.
So watching it was like, well, shit, this movie is more fucked up than I remember.
It is. It's sleazy, I think, I think a note that I wrote down is this is the most this may be the sleaziest movie we have seen yet. Like with a very sleazy murder scene. That uncomfortable, grimy aspect that a horror movie can get sometimes, where it's like really rubbing your face in how awful people can be to each other. And this definitely does
nothing. That. Over nothing.
Over nothing.
Now these children are fucking traumatized.
Yeah.
And the people are supposed to help them as, they're just little kids. Mm-hmm. They're in the orphanage. That shit pissed me off so much. These goddamn nuns.
The way the nuns were treating them? Yeah.
Oh my God. Just making the trauma worse.
Yeah, and we're going to get into nuns, my friend. I don't know if you know much about my background.
I was just going to say, I know you got some stories about nuns.
Have we talked about nuns in another episode?
I think you mentioned one thing.
About Sister Luann,
Luann?
Yeah, Sister Luann, she was so fucking mean. She was like the mother superior.
That's what I was going to say. Is she the mother superior?
Yeah, she was. Well, she wasn't the mother superior, but she was... personality-wise, she matched the mother superior from this movie as an asshole. So, yeah, and I mean, so this movie's about this. What's really cool about Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 is it's almost a procedural. It's almost like a biopic about a guy who becomes a murderer because you're with him kind of through his whole childhood and kind of in his teen years a little bit, and then him as an adult. And so when he finally breaks down and starts killing people, which is I think halfway through the movie, maybe not quite, but it takes a little while. But by the time he starts doing it, you really feel like you understand why, and you kind of like, I feel like it does a really good job of that.
Yeah, this is definitely how you can find out. This is the things that you don't do to help kids that have gone through
Yeah.
a traumatic experience.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Because this could happen in your town.
Yeah, and if your kid has a traumatic experience involving Santa Claus, and if he comes to your orphanage and you know about that, and then if he becomes an adult and comes to work in your store and you know about that, don't fucking quit shoving Santa Claus in his face, because all these people knew that his parents were raped and murdered by Santa Claus, and yet they're like, "Oh, do you want to be Santa?" It's like, fucking no.
Well, I was thinking, so do these people think it's that thing of like, if you face your fear, it'll help you work through your trauma, a lot of
Immersion
people-
therapy.
Exactly. And I went, but even the nicer nun, that even though she kind of lets the shit happen to him anyway,
Yeah,
so she
Sister
kind of
Margaret.
sucks just as much.
Yeah.
She even says he still has this experience and this trauma inside of him. Why are we doing this to him?
Yeah.
Why are we treating him like this?
Yeah. And, go ahead, sorry.
That fucking Mother Superior, I wanted to punch her through the screen so bad.
Yeah. I mean, it does take a while for her to get her comeuppance, but it's,
It does show you too. There's a lot of really cool scenes in this movie where all the triggers start to happen for him. So like the red and the Santa and it becomes like the blood and seeing people making out.
Yeah.
Some boobies.
Doing sex.
I wrote that
There's
down.
a lot
Boobies
of-
are a trigger for him.
Yeah, and you
Rightfully
texted me
so.
too, saying like there's boobs all over this movie. And I did watch this with my daughter, but she was busy crocheting, working on some stuff she's doing for Christmas and for this holiday market thing, and so she was only kind of paying attention. But I was like, man, this is a pretty fucked up movie. Are you sure you don't want to? I can turn it off and watch it later or something. She's like, oh,
I almost texted you when I was almost done with it. Like, are you sure you want to watch this with your daughter?
Yeah.
But
it's one of those that she'll probably tell her friends 30 years from now, being like, yeah, my dad put this on and it kind of broke me for the rest of my life.
She probably wasn't even paying attention. She's like,
Right.
oh, my dad wants me to watch a stupid movie
Yeah.
with him.
Well, we have a thing where it's like, if we're going to watch a movie together, we're going to watch it. We're going to try to not use our phones. I'll use mine to look up actors because, I always recognize someone in any movie now. It sucks. But also, that's what sucks about becoming a nerd about something very specific. But also, so something like this where it's like, okay, so I said, we'll hang out together, but I'm going to watch this movie so we can talk about it so that Shandi and I can do our podcast thing. And if you want to crochet, you can, and you can just sit right next to me. So, I don't know if she was... This wasn't a movie I was intending for her to pay attention to. So, hopefully it didn't... But, but here's the deal. I met her therapist this week, so if we end up having to see her more, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Ooh, la, la.
I mean, they're just boobies, but it's the context
Well,
of why the boobies are there is terrifying.
There's multiple attempted rapes in this movie. And not only are there multiple attempted rapes, but one of them he flashes back to a couple of times, And so, yeah, I mean, a lot of the toplessness in this movie is not fun toplessness, And then there is fun toplessness by my favorite fun topless actress. So
I didn't even recognize her when you texted. I went, oh, fuck, I totally missed her. I mean, I saw her in the movie, but I didn't even recognize her. Was this one of her first ones?
Linnea Quigley? Well, this is 84, so I would think not. But, I don't know. Maybe one of her first horror films, possibly. But, yeah, Linnea Quigley's in this movie. And she has, obviously, she... Okay, so here's the thing. So I think she's one of the ladies that's okay with being called a scream queen because she's in a lot of horror movies and well known. Then you got Barbara Crampton, who I also love and think is awesome, and she hates that term. And I kind of side with her. I think it's unfair and too pigeonholing, because like, for example, Linnea Quigley plays like her most famous role is not a scream queen. She's a bad guy, So from Return of the Living Dead, So
Yeah.
So, but anyway, but that was, she would call herself, and it is an easy shorthand term to say a lady who's done a ton of horror movies, and she has no qualms about being naked and seems to possibly prefer it. And
She looks great.
She always does. And even now,
Wow.
she probably looks fine. But yeah, in these movies, it's like, holy hubba hubba. But it's great. You know?
I did go, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
Quite a few times in this movie.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, too. It's like they have a lot of moves, but none of them are hard to look at. But, but the scenes are hard to look at, like you said, because
yeah, the context is really cringy. It was cringy for me. I was like, oh, God.
Oh, here we go. Her first bigger part was in the 81 slasher film Graduation Day, which I recently acquired and watched. It's a fun one.
Great one.
Followed, huh?
That's a great one.
Yeah, and then followed by Savage Streets, and then this one. So, and then 85 was Return of the Living Dead, and that's when she became like Linnea Quigley, put her name on the poster kind of stuff,
Cool.
But yeah, but she's awesome, and so she has a bit part in this. But she has a one of the, obviously it's one of the only it's probably the only hot sex scene in the movie because it's the only one that's not associated with something awful. Because even with the other loving romantic sex scene in the movie, you still have this kid freaking out about it, Mm-hmm. The one that he sees at the school at his orphanage,
That one's crazy when Mother Superior starts beating him with the fucking belt.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, then it ends with that. Yeah.
Dude, yeah. Well, and then she beats Billy with the belt too. And all I thought about was I used to get hit with a belt when I was a kid. That shit hurts.
You
especially, did? Yeah. And I got, you were just hoping you were going to get hit with like the metal buckle part because that shit left bruises.
Wait, so you're hoping you would or would not?
Would not get hit with the buckle part. Right, because it would be,
okay, because that's the worst part, okay.
But yeah, we would get, and a lot of times me and my sister were very close in age. We're about a year apart. We would get into trouble together, as sisters do. And so, if we got in really, really big trouble. But now that I think about it, the stuff that we did not... We should have just been grounded. Like, right. Beating your fucking kid with a belt is so fucking bad. Like, he would go beat her. Like, she would get 10 hits with it, and then I'd hear her screaming and crying. I'm like, damn it, I'm next. This is going to hurt. Because my dad's like 6'3".
Yeah.
And we're little fucking kids. So think about how much force he's getting with each fucking hit. Like... When we were talking about how this movie is like how it follows like the traumatization of what children go through, I was like, yeah, because that's I went through some of that myself, so it hurts.
Yeah.
I'd prefer to get grounded.
Yeah, and well, first of all, I'm sorry that happened to you because, and I know that was like a common thing.
That was such a common thing in the 80s. It's just to beat your kids.
Me as a parent, totally against it, would never do it. There's enough now research backing up that it doesn't even work.
No, we kept getting in trouble, even though we knew we were going to get beat.
Right. And you got in more trouble the older you got, right? The trouble got worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't work. And you're right. Some sort of grounding or something would be better. And, a lot of people get shocked when I say this, but I don't punish. I can't really, when my daughter was little and like throwing tantrums, I'd be like, okay, you have to sit here and time out. We did timeouts and I'd set a timer. But that's because like with a tantrum when they're younger, it's not really misbehaving as it is like, it's like when the dial on your radio is broken and it just is static and you can't turn it to something that makes sense.
And they're little kids. They don't fully grasp and understand what's happening. They're just reacting.
Exactly. And then they turn 3 and they become fucking devious, manipulative demon children. And so it's like, okay, I don't want to time out with you. I want to like lock you in a car and walk away.
Man, my mom did that one time. I threw a tantrum in the store, and she left me there. She threatened. She goes, I'm just going to leave you here if you keep acting like that, because I wanted some toy, and she said no. And I kept it up. And then I realized, oh, shit, she did leave me.
Wow.
So I just walked. There was an arcade in the store. I went to it and started playing. I think I was playing the Terminator game. Our pinball game that had the little gun trigger
for
the ball. I was in there, I think, an hour by myself. But I lived on an Air Force base, so I think my mom felt not that bad leaving me there.
It was enclosed then?
Yeah, we were on an Air Force base, and there was a BX. It was the store that was there. But she left, and then she came back an hour later and found me in the arcade and goes, "Are you done?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to go home."
I hope you understand how absolutely fucking furious I am right now on your behalf. I mean, and I'm sure you're laughing it off, and you've dealt with it your whole life. I know, but
I just can't imagine leaving a kid like that.
Yeah, well, and I am a parent of a daughter who, whatever, I wouldn't do that shit to her. And also, you and I have been friends for a really long time, and so I don't want to, I hate that it happened to you because you're someone I care about. You know what I mean? So it's like, fuck it. To me, if my daughter misbehaves, okay, well, my response to it, what is the goal with my response? My goal is for her to learn something. Mm-hmm. My goal is for her to learn that what she did sucked, or that there's a better way to do it, or that it's dangerous, or whatever the thing might be.
There's consequences to your actions.
Yeah, and to learn that too, But the thing is the consequences, it doesn't need to be someone's going to punch you in the face. Because now you're living, what I mean? Or someone's going to hit you with a belt, or someone's going to leave you alone. No, the consequences should be like, you're going to hurt somebody's feelings. You're going to do something you will regret. You don't want parenting by threat, I think, is bullshit. And that, a lot of us were raised that way.
Such bullshit. You're right.
Yeah, right? And so it's like, that there's, so if she said, let's say she says, fuck you to me, which I don't think she ever will. Maybe. We'll see. She did once when she was 2, but she didn't know what she was talking about. She just called me. She's like, yeah, you fuck. I'm like, hey, you don't know what that means.
When little kids cuss, it's so fucking funny.
It was really funny. And when a little tiny voice be like, yeah, you fuck. I want some dinner, you fuck. It's like, that is amazing. Anyway, so I can't get mad at you for that. Anyways, so let's say she's like, hey, Dad, fuck you. If I'd be like, oh, I'm going to slap you, or I'm going to take away your stuff, or whatever, it's like, well, what are you really teaching there? All you're teaching is that if you do something bad, then someone's going to do something bad to you, or something you don't like. I think with so many parents, their goals are wrong. And I feel like with so many parents, the goal is to parent for yourself, which is like, okay, well, I made this kid. I'm going to get through this the easiest way for me. Which is like, well, then you shouldn't have fucking had them.
I mean, I feel a lot of times when people punish their children, it's just because they don't know how to speak to their children.
Yep.
At all. And I find it kind of lazy. I find it lazy parenting.
100%. Because my goal, as I've told you and a lot of my friends, and I've said it online before, probably on this podcast before, but my goal as a parent is don't give the world another asshole. And I can tell you right now, I'm pretty much already considering it a success. And I think a lot of that is because, I've taken the harder road when it comes to misbehaving. And so, because if your kid misbehaves and you lock them in their room or slap them, well, that's easy. That's the easy way out. It's right there in fucking Star Wars. You know what I mean? It's like the dark side. Anger and rage is the easier path, And so actually trying to make sure you're controlling your own emotions first, and then talking to your kid about it, and really like digging into what they were really doing so that they understand what they were doing, and they understand why it's not cool to do that, whatever it was, And then, oh, wow, look what's happened. Now we've evolved a little bit. That's the idea, I think. You know what I mean? And to me, it's not a simple act. It can be very frustrating. It can be hard to do, but it's a simple... for me, it's a simple action to be like, okay, well, yeah, that obviously should be it.
Yeah, and I just can't imagine having a kid, punishing them in the way that my parents punished me, and feeling okay about it, and thinking like my kid fucking, I don't want my kid to fucking hate me because I hit them or punish them.
At one point, my parents were probably like, well, there's too many of them, so if we start
they're going to gang up on us.
Yeah, if we start some sort of physical conflict, we will lose. Because by the time there's 6 of us, my brother and I, me and my next youngest brother, we're old enough to like grab a knife and fucking get into it. You know what I mean? So you better be careful. And so when I hear stuff like you saying that, it's like, ugh. And in this movie, I mean, when I watch movies like this, and so many... There's a certain genre kind of horror movie where a kid is getting mistreated in the beginning, and it's often for me the toughest part to watch.
Yeah, it was really hard. This poor kid, like the whole thing about the naughty or nice thing. So I wanted to ask you, like, did you wake up for Santa Claus when you were growing up? Like, did you get excited that Santa was coming to bring presents?
Well, in order to wake up, I would have had to go to sleep. And
oh, you were one of those kids that stayed up all night.
I asked my mom and my dad about it. I would what they would do is, because I shared a room with my brother, for a while, because there were so many of us. I would she'd be like, I'd be like, I can't sleep. I'm just really ready for Christmas. So they'd be like, it's fucking 3 a.m. So they'd turn on the light in the closet and set me up some pillows and a book in the closet. And I'd kind of go in there and hang out and have a little fort,
That's so cool.
Well, isn't that right? Because then, that's very thoughtful. This is what I'm talking about, like how fucking awesome they were. And so, so they set me up with a closet thing, which is a fun, cool thing for me to distracting. And in those cases, I probably fell asleep after, I'm doing this cool thing, that's how it works. But also, you have the closet, and, they wouldn't close the door all the way, but, have it kind of shut enough so that the light wouldn't bother other sleeping children in the room or in the next room or whatever, so.
Yeah, we did the whole thing of writing a list of what we wanted for Christmas, and we left out the milk and cookies for Santa. And then we were told, if you've been good, you'll get everything on your list. And if you've been naughty, you're going to get nothing at all.
Did it say coal? Just nothing.
They did say coal a couple of times. But telling a kid that this magical Santa Claus figure is going to fit his fat ass down a chimney, or if you don't have a chimney, he's just going to find a way into your house to bring you presents. Like telling a kid that if they haven't been good isn't that kind of gaslighting your children in a way?
Absolutely. I did the Santa Claus thing with my daughter. I was so ready for it. And, her mother grew up a Jehovah's Witness quite a bit, so she wasn't really familiar with any of those traditions. And so when when my daughter was getting old enough to kind of understand what was happening, she was like, so are we going to do Santa Claus? And I was like, yeah. She's like, so we're going to lie to her? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah. Just
but
like,
no,
did you do the Tooth Fairy?
Yeah, we did the Tooth Fairy too.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And the Easter Bunny. But here's the thing: is all that stuff's fun, and it's fun. It's not fun because you're tricking your children. It's fun to see them get all excited about it. It's fun to do little things like make sure they leave out cookies and milk, and then you stay up and get a little bit drunk and eat the cookies and drink the milk yourself, and then you set out some presents. I mean, dude, there's a few times where I would just get fucking rip roaring whatever on different things. Like after he goes to bed, it's like, now it's time to put out the presents. Because it's fun to be crazy about it, Like, oh, I'm going to open this toy and have it hanging out of the stocking. That kind of crazy shit. Just make it really fun so that they come out in the morning. They're like, oh my God, some weird magic man was here and did all this crazy shit. And now I have all these new toys. That's great.
I thought it was pretty cool today. I was coming home to come record this. I saw 5 people dressed in Santa sumo inflatable outfits on the sidewalk. If you can imagine what that looks like.
You saw that today?
Yeah, they weren't in regular Santa suits. They were in the inflatable, look like the sumo wrestler suits.
Yeah.
So they were huge, and they all had instruments. One had a big tuba, and they were playing Christmas music. And I went, that's really fitting for what I'm about to go do right now.
Right. Did you move to New Orleans? Because I'm random tuba bands on the street. That's New Orleans.
I know. That wasn't my thought. I didn't think about New Orleans, but I went, it's 3:00 in the afternoon. What is going on this sidewalk?
Oh, shit, dude. It's St. Nicholas Day.
Oh, is it?
SantaCon. Yeah, it's the 7th. Yeah.
Are we really recording on that and not even real? Oh, okay. Wow.
Isn't that cool? Yeah, wow. Well, and the thing is, actually, technically it was last night, but then the bigger cities have their SantaCon the Saturday right after that's closest to St. Nicholas Day. And, that's Saint Nicholas. They say it fast, Santa Claus, right? And
Saint Claus.
Saint Nicholas, I don't know if you know the traditions for Saint Nicholas Day, but you can leave a apple and a carrot and a shoe out for Saint Nicholas's horses.
Oh.
And he's coming by, or reindeer, or whatever. He's coming by to check on kids, to see how the kids are, if the kids are being good. So,
if he needs to punish you.
well, right. Well, and but back then the tradition was like, well, if you are naughty, Santa doesn't punish you. He gets his evil twin brother out, Krampus. And then Krampus hits you with sticks and puts you in a bag and fucking takes you somewhere.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. There's so much fun tradition about it. But, a lot of our modern Christmas traditions are really not that old. A lot of them really do come from A Christmas Carol from Charles Dickens. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't know if you know this, but before that, at least in Britain, Christmas was like the holiday where it's like, if you have kids, just stay home. Because a lot of people get drunk and fight in the street on Christmas. Like, that's what it used to be about. Like fucking, chaos. Like like soccer hooligans,
Fun.
Yeah, but instead now he made it about like turkey and stockings, which, that's good.
Yeah, we always had ham for Christmas. The
Me too,
Christmas
yep,
ham.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Nom, 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 nom. Like a good glazed ham.
Yeah, oh man, it's so good. Perfectly smoked. So even though your parents did some of the nasty stuff we talked about, they still supplied a good Christmas dinner?
Yeah.
Good. Did you get good presents?
Yeah, and we generally got really good gifts.
Good.
I got a bike on my 12th birthday with a guinea pig and I named him Fred after Freddy Krueger.
Hell yeah.
Uh-huh. That was a great Christmas.
How long did Fred live? How long did guinea pigs live?
He lived for a few years. Mm-hmm. He lived longer than than most guinea pigs live. He died terribly though. He had a stroke.
Oh no.
I know, and so I woke up in the morning and half his body was paralyzed, and then I had to go to school. I was a freshman in high school when he died, so I was 14, 15.
Well, 2-3 years then. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and I came home and my mom was just sitting with his cage with a blanket over it. She was like, he died while you were at school. I was like, I don't want him to go to school. Why did you have me go to school?
Like, he died because you went to school?
I was naughty, and Santa punished me, and I buried him under his favorite little tree and put a rock there, put his name on it. I wonder if it's still there in Florida. Probably not.
Wow. All right, Pete Fred. Here's another instance, Shandi, of you and I having this weirdly synchronous friendship and life stories. Because when I was probably the same age, maybe a little younger, 10 or 11, I got a hamster for Christmas. And I named her... Huh?
Name?
Sleepy. I named her Sleepy. Aww. And she died in her sleep. But I had her for a couple years. They don't live very long. But Sleepy, yeah. And she was I got her this treat bell. Like, it was a big treat thing shaped like a bell, and you could hang it from the ceiling of their little domicile, right? So then she would run up her little stairs and jump onto it and swing on it like Quasimodo. It was great. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Aww.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I woke up one day and she was dead, and it's like, oh well, that was fun. But she had a good run.
I just picture you looking through the cage going, oh, all right.
It's fun. What the fuck are we talking about? Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 and 2. But yeah, so there's a lot. Just talking about generally Christmas horror movies, right, and Santa horror movies too, specifically. It's there's just so much imagery there that, like you said, can be flipped to be crazy and scary. And so I think that's why Christmas horror movies are often fun and popular.
Well, because Santa isn't supposed to be running around with an axe murdering people.
Right.
He's supposed to be delivering presents.
Yeah, and so it's flipping that is fun. And what's interesting about the movie too is so they probably started the idea with what you just said. Santa's not supposed to be like this, so let's make a movie where he's like this. And then it's why? Well, because that literal sentence that you just said, Shandi, and that my imagined executive said, that literal sentence is what they turned into the plot, where this boy who in his youth, when he's young, thinks Santa's supposed to be good. And then that gets flipped for him by his fucking grandpa. And now it ruins it for him, right? And so then he ruins it for everybody else.
I felt so bad for Billy in this movie because he thought that because he was naughty, that he was the cause of what happened to his parents.
Yeah.
It was so sad.
Yeah, it's really sad. I mean, the whole thing is like, it really starts with his grandpa, who's like, what the fuck is this guy's deal? Because early in the movie, they're talking...
That scene was creepy.
Yeah, and it's Christmas Eve. Early in the movie, they're going to talk to their grandpa, right? And there's a few things here. First of all, the mental facility his grandpa's in is called Utah Mental Facility. So I was like, okay, so this is the only mental facility in Utah, which is a big state full of Mormons, so you're going to need more than one. And then I wrote, okay, so they go up to see the grandpa, and he's like comatose, right? He's just like staring. He's a vegetable. He's just staring ahead. And they're all like, oh, God, he's even worse than he was last time. He won't talk to us. And so the mom and dad and the baby walk away to go do something. And then suddenly he's fine. And he tells the kid, he's like, yeah, watch out. If you're naughty, Santa will punish you, And then he goes back to pretending that he's a vegetable. So I was like, so the grandpa's pretending to be crazy so he can be in a mental facility. But when he breaks that character, he is actually crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Billy said something to his parents before that happened that made me laugh so hard. His parents were like, oh yeah, he can't talk. He won't be able to talk to you. And Billy just straight up goes, well, why did we even come here then? And he says it in such like a snotty kind of way that I went, that kid is naughty. Like, you're here to see grandpa. Like, what the hell, kid?
But his parents are being dicks. And, there's this whole, like, it's Christmas Eve. This kid wants to do Christmas shit.
Yeah.
And, like, he's like, grandpa doesn't even know what's happening.
Why do we even come here then? I was like, no shit.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's like, oh, grandpa came out of it and he was telling me all this crazy shit about Santa Claus. They're like, that's not nice to say grandpa said that. That's naughty. Uh-huh. And then, so they break out that word, naughty. And then he's like, oh my God, And,
oh my God.
Yeah, because he just got told, if you're naughty, Santa's going to punish you and you won't get any gifts or whatever.
Yeah, and punish you, though.
Yeah.
That word that they use.
Word. 10 minutes later, they call him naughty, and he's like, oh, shit. So it is an interesting psychological storyline here, where it's like you see this kid get told something, and then it boom, boom, boom starts happening. And so you can basically just see the groundwork for this kid becoming a fucking murderous Santa Claus, Not even for becoming murder, but before becoming specifically a murderous Santa Claus, like, it's right there, It's like there's no other... They can't make it so there's no other way for this to go.
Yeah, I know. And the Santa in the beginning that robs the store, the guy behind the counter goes, what charity do you work for? And I just yelled at the TV, murder!
Well, I was hoping he would say me. Because that'd be a great line for a robber to say back. But he doesn't, right?
He just fucking shoots him. Yeah. But I also laugh because he shoots him, right? And he's laying there. He waits a second. He shoots him again.
Yeah. It's all the murders in this are very nasty. Like, everybody in this movie is pretty nasty.
That's a really great word to describe everything. That's kind of how I felt a lot of the times.
Yeah, just nasty, and then I would still say sleazy. You know what I mean? It's got a
because then Santa gets the money and he's standing outside, goes, $34. That's it. I'm like, you just murdered that poor man on Christmas Eve.
Also, it's 1984. The Republicans haven't finished ruining the economy yet. You could probably get a lot for $34.
Oh. What the hell?
And I just wrote down, I love a good Santa with a gun.
Yeah.
Because, there is a tradition that at this point had already been going on for a while of taking the image of Santa Claus and flipping it towards evil. There'd already been a few movies where Santa's a killer. But the thing is it never gets old because I think because the flip side of it, the Santa Claus has this good, wonderful image is shoved down your throat and displayed everywhere all the time for like 2 months. And so for seeing this negative version, even if you see it like a couple times a year, well, it's still so few times compared to how many times you get the nice Santa image that I think it still feels fresh. That's why I think it still works. Anyways.
Yeah, and I had this weird thought where I said, this is probably my only theory that I had throughout the whole thing, was that did the kid hallucinate that shit?
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Is this kid bipolar? Because, mental shit runs in the family and maybe it skipped the dad a generation and now it's with this kid.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think I ever thought about that because it very well could have been, and like I told you before we started recording, it's like, this is the movie this is our 8th episode or something like that. And of all the movies we watched so far, this one is the least open for interpretation. It's pretty much exactly what it says on the box. And they make everything so clear, and so it wears its heart on its sleeve kind of thing. So there's not really any wiggle room. There's a couple tiny things, and this is one of them. That's a great, that's a good thought. I mean, totally would make sense, and it would even make more sense than the current version. Like, you know what I mean? Like that theory makes more sense than just the fact that this guy would fake a coma only to scare a little boy for a little bit. Right?
I mean, Grandpa did a really great job of scaring the shit out of Billy.
He did.
And unfortunately, the events that occur don't help with that.
No, it turns it inside out. Now, so you think the Grandpa was not trying to, like, fuck with him. He was trying to protect him.
That's what I think.
Okay. Because, I mean, it also seems like he was trying to fuck with him, too. But, I mean, yeah, but it's a good point you make, too, that he's kind of like, what they call the Harbinger of Doom character in a lot of these, like, don't go up there,
Well, he did just hear the kid make a snotty comment, though, too. So he could have just been like, you know what? Oh. This kid doesn't want to he's pissed about being here on Christmas Eve. You know what? I'm going to scare the shit out of this little shit.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's and then so that just kind of starts the whole thing.
It's a good setup.
And then so he says that if you're naughty, Santa's going to get you, right? And so then he's going to punish you. And then they're in the car or whatever that, he's saying that Grandpa told him all this stuff and the parents don't believe him. And so they're like, you're being naughty. And then what happens? They pull up and there's a Santa standing in the road.
And I went, no, not Santa.
Yep. But in this kid's mind, what happened? He was naughty. Boom. Here's Santa. And what does Santa do? Comes right up to the car, kills his dad, tries to rape his mom. And it's like, holy shit.
Hey, you're going to get to see Santa after all. And the kid's like, don't stop. And I went, that's a smart ass fucking kid. But your parents aren't going to listen.
It's been broken for him by his grandpa, right? And so, his grandpa's like, if you're naughty, Santa will punish you. And then he gets called naughty, and like 40 seconds later, there's this fucking Santa with a gun. Ah! So this obviously fucks this kid up for life. Then they go like 5 years later or something, he's in an orphanage.
Do you know what I said a lot this movie?
Huh?
I said this a lot. I went, Jesus.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's like a very hardcore version of the universe. Like people are just very mean and nasty and
it just doesn't stop.
And the nuns are just like, he's got the nice nun, Miss Margaret, that said, like, she keeps trying to tell the other nuns, the mean nun, Mother Superior, Sister Margaret keeps trying to be like, hey, this kid's fucked up because of Christmas. And she can't say that because she's a nun, but that's what she's trying to say. Maybe if she would have started swearing, they would have listened to her more. But anyways, she's like, he's good all the time. And then at Christmas, he gets really bad. And it's we've seen that a couple years now. And it's obviously because of what happened to him. And the other nun's like, nah, he's just bad, is basically what they're saying. He's just naughty, That's the word.
I wrote, pretty sure growing up with these nuns did not help with what he's been going through.
It didn't fix anything. It only made it worse because she just it's like, for instance, like we mentioned earlier, he walks in on two people having sex and he's like, what is that? And then immediately the nun's like, this is naughty. You're naughty for seeing it, is what she basically tells him. And they're naughty for doing it. And she whips them. And then they have a Santa Claus come and he freaks out because he's been fucking traumatized by Santa. So he doesn't want to sit on his lap.
Punches him in the face.
that's right. He gets up to him, he just clocks him, and like Santa's bleeding.
He punches him really hard. He gets a bloody fucking nose.
Yeah.
What made me laugh was the shot of Ricky, his little brother. They pan to Ricky's face, and his mouth is open, like
yes, yeah, like oh my God.
And he tries to go console his brother. He runs, and the nun stops Ricky, and Ricky's like, Billy, like to go console him. I'm like, let him go to his brother, you fucking assholes. No one's trying to console him. They just continue with the abuse. Mm-hmm. They're just straight up abusing this poor little kid.
Yeah, they really are. And like, he draws the horrible murder scene, and that gets him in trouble. And like, no one ever except for Sister Margaret, no one ever stops to be like, maybe there's something behind this, you guys. And I'm sitting there being like, hey, maybe I should watch another fucking horror movie, because there's so many horror movies and like Italian giallo movies that start with a child drawing something screwed up about Christmas that it's like, come on. And also, there's always two things that happen, and it happens a lot in giallo movies, but lots of movies, and a lot of Christmas horror movies. The kid's drawing something fucked up, right? And they always see some hot sex as a kid that somehow gets mixed up in their head as horrible violence.
Yeah.
It happens in this, happens in Christmas Evil, also called Better Watch Out. I don't know if you've seen that one or not, but it's great.
Oh, it's just crazy because you have this, you have these little kids whose brains are developing. Mm-hmm. So having all of this trauma, and he can't even talk about it. He had his nightmare. He woke up sweating, screaming, and instead of saying, oh, what's going on? Are you okay? Let me strap you to the fucking bed so you can't leave.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's no wonder he ends up becoming this crazy murderer. And, when he's an adult and gets his first job, he's so fucking weird and awkward. He doesn't know how to interact with his coworkers. He doesn't know how to, like, he's like this big, strong, good-looking guy, and he clearly likes this girl, but he has no idea how to, like, make that proceed. You know what I mean? He just doesn't know. And what's fucked up about it is this really gets done to kids, specifically with the nun shit, So and like we hinted at earlier, I had some mean nun experiences in my life. Nothing like this. But I did go to a Catholic school, a grade school, from kindergarten through 6th grade. Most of my teachers were lovely. Most of the nuns we worked with were lovely. But there was one mean one. And so it's like, nuns either like get the whole like, I followed Jesus, so I'm going to be chill and nice. Or it's like Bible beating, follow the rules kind of shit.
Did you ever get like a ruler to your knuckles or anything?
No, but I got like dragged down the hallway for standing on my... All I did was stand at my desk in music class, slap my belly, and go. So
You got
but I
dragged?
got like dragged by. Well, I was walking, but she was pulling me by my wrist. So that kind of shit. Right, and she would also do this thing where there's like 30 of us in class or 25. There's a big class, and there's this one girl, Jessica, and this is not Jessica's fault. Lovely person. I think maybe my first crush when I was like 6 or whatever. And as far as I know, she turned out to be a nice, wonderful lady. So not her fault at all. However, the nun, Sister Luann, would decide, she somehow decided that Jessica was the best kid in the world, and every other kid in class was bad. So she'd be like, you're all such naughty children, except Jessica. And then she'd like give her a gift in front of us,
What the fuck?
Yeah. But the worst thing, and the thing that probably did the most psychological damage was, okay, so I mean, I was afraid of her.
Yeah.
And so I was so afraid of her that when I had to, and it's Catholic school, right? So you're doing prayers, and you end the day with saying the Apostles' Creed, which is a pretty long prayer. And I don't know if you know it. Do you know that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No.
It's a longer prayer. In Catholic Mass, you say it in every service. But anyway, so she put the not a fear of God, but fear of nun violence into us. And so one day I had to pee real bad during the Apostles' Creed. At the end of the day, I just fucking pissed my pants while praying, And I think that's what set a good foundation for my kind of punk rock hatred of religion. So thank you, nun, for giving me this crazy-ass view on the world that has honestly helped me here and there. But, but yeah, so that was pretty fucked up. And, it was just so unnecessary. Because like I said, there were other nuns that were lovely people. And like, we were first graders. No one's like, in order to be a quote unquote bad kid as a first grader, you had to be like killing animals or something. You know what I mean? You gotta be doing something fucked up. We were just kids, So Like,
Yeah, you
no
weren't,
one in
like,
my class was like bad, you know?
pushing somebody over and kept hitting somebody or pulling their hair.
Yeah, even that, it's like you're just being stupid kids. Well, like I said earlier, I don't punish. I don't believe in it anymore. So I just, for me, I can't even understand the idea. And, you know, it's the whole idea of how we treat wrongdoing is just so fucked up. And, yeah, so this not only made it worse. And what's crazy to me is, you know, I don't think that kind of situation happens as much anymore, but we are still doing this kind of thing where we punish kids for being different and for having issues instead of helping them with the issues, you know? And, you know, even though this movie was probably just made for money, they just wanted to cash in on the holiday thriller thing, and the slashers and stuff. But there is a message here, which is like, the system fucking created this kid. Now we're at the fun part of the conversation, because we had to talk about all this childhood trauma. We're talking about a lot of kind of dark shit here. I'm talking about nun problems. You're talking about getting beaten by your parents. You know, it's nasty stuff. But that is what's happening to this kid that then gets us to this fun, crazy, stupid kind of horror movie. You know, and I like that the movie does that. And it does feel sleazy, but it's like, whoa, you know, and then the kills are pretty good. So then Sister Margaret, right? She's the one that's been watching out for him. So when he turns 18, she takes him out and gets him a job.
Why at the toy store?
Exactly, because she's the one adult this whole time in the childhood portion of the film. She's the one adult that's like, something about Christmas, something about Santa Claus makes this kid lose his mind. We got to be careful. And then she takes him to a fucking toy store. And it's like, it's probably October, right? Because it's like he's not working there for very long before Christmas comes up. So it's like, what are you doing?
That is the worst idea she could
terrible.
have had.
What the fuck is this nun thinking? Because she knows Christmas time is coming.
Man, probably not the best place for him to be.
Yeah, fuck it. You know what? Get him a job at a synagogue. Get him a job at a mosque or something. Help him clean the floor. I don't know, but like, you know, give somewhere they're not going to have Christmas shit everywhere. You know? Take him to a construction site. He's like this big ox of a man. Like, fucking take him somewhere where he's like carrying around lumber and shit.
Why isn't he just working at the orphanage?
Yeah, be the janitor or something.
Something.
Yeah. Maybe she was trying to get him away from Mother Superior. So, talking about theories, this one's silly and not real, but okay. So Billy is when he becomes a man, he's big and strong.
And he's hot.
He's a hot dude. Woo. But like the Santa Claus thing triggers him, and it's kind of just the color red will even trigger him, right? And
so
then in part 2, what?
Red, yeah,
red, yeah. And so then in part 2, the same thing's going on with his brother Ricky later in life, who's also, I don't know if I call that guy hot, but he's big and buff and strong, and he can't see, the color red drives him crazy. So I'm like, is there some sort of thing we missed here where their family is part bull?
I just think it's, so in the second one, when Dr. Bloom brings up, oh, the Jeep was red.
Yeah.
The Jeep was red.
Red car.
Yeah. And then later on when he goes on his fucking rampage down the suburbs, in the suburbs with the gun and just starts killing people that are coming out of their homes. All of the cars were also red.
Yeah.
But then I wrote down, is that supposed to be like Santa's sleigh? Because Santa's sleigh is red.
Yeah, maybe. And I think it's just the red suit. But it's the thing
and the red
is,
suit, yeah.
Well, one of the many problems with part 2, they don't tie the red into the Santa thing well enough. It's just like, well, he hates the color red. There's another point I want to make about part 2, but let's get back to part 1 in the toy store, because the toy store, all the toy store stuff is great. And you told me there was something you want to ask me about, and I have a lot to say about the toy store. But yeah, and but I mean, obviously part 2 is it's really something.
And you know what's crazy is that the guy that runs the toy store, Mr. Sims, he was putting Billy in the Santa suit. I was like, don't do that. Why are you? Yeah. That's like his fucking worst nightmare. Yeah. And then I went, oh, maybe he doesn't know. But then he actually does know, because when he's all drunk, he goes over to Billy and he says something about his parents. And Billy goes, well, they're dead. And he goes, oh, yeah, I forgot.
Right. It's like,
He fucking,
come on,
like,
man.
none of these people, wake the fuck up, people. If you know that something is traumatizing and might trigger somebody.
Yeah. And so,
Don't
yeah,
fucking
it's crazy.
do
But,
it.
you know, maybe we can go back to that other, and I know it wasn't an excuse, it was an explanation, but we can go back to the other explanation. It was the 80s. They didn't know about that. Okay, maybe. You know what I mean? But, like, what's funny, though, so, you know, he's working at the toy store just as a stock boy because he's this big, strong man, so he can carry all the crates and shit. The movie did a really good job of building this up, right? Because, so the lady and Mr. Sims are being like, yeah, so we need a new Santa Claus. Then it jump cuts, basically. It just cuts to the next scene, and you right away, you're seeing Billy in Santa Claus attire looking at himself in the mirror. And as the viewer now, that's scary to see because you know, after all the previous 40 minutes or whatever, how fucked up his life is because of Santa Claus. So you know, like, oh my God. Like, just the fact that he's in a Santa suit, you're like, oh no. I thought it was good filmmaking that they like, or good storytelling that they were like, had all these things happen. And now when you just see him in the Santa suit, it's like, oh shit. You know what I mean?
You just know something's going to unfold, but
like,
you don't know when or how or what's going to trigger it. So Sister Margaret knows all of this shit about Santa and Billy. She calls the store to like find out where he is. And he's like, oh, we put him in the Santa suit. And she's like, the look on her face.
Yeah. It's like, why didn't you tell them?
No shit. Why didn't she, like, maybe if you just don't put him in a Santa suit or anywhere near Santa.
They show him having to, like, be the Santa. They show one time, and it's this girl, and he's like, you're being naughty, you will be punished. He, like, just says all this crazy shit that makes her cry.
Creepy how he talks to this little girl. He's like, stop that. I was like, and the kid's like squirming on his fucking lap. He's like, stop, don't do that. Don't you know what you're doing?
Yeah, don't you know what you're doing? Yeah. Because, like, he thinks every kid knows this.
Yeah.
And that's what really makes him, you know, I think the real mentally ill people don't know they're mentally ill. And that's when it's, like, I have mental illnesses, but I know I have them, right? So I can treat them and function-ish in society. When you have really, really bad ones to the point where you don't know something's wrong with you. And so in this kid's case, he doesn't know that he's the only one around who's had Santa Claus fucking turned topsy-turvy in his head. So he thinks every kid has been explained to this. So he's like, don't you get it? It's like, no, she doesn't get it because her asshole grandpa didn't ruin it for her.
Well, and he terrifies the shit out of that little girl.
Yeah,
and
yeah. Well, yeah, now she's been terrible. Yeah, now she's...
and what's funny is the parents are just like, isn't he great with the kids?
It's like, can't you tell? Like, you're 10 feet away. I wrote down, though, because that girl was very obnoxious, and I said, honestly, I would probably be similar if I had to be a mall Santa. Just whispering to her, like, don't you know what you're doing? You have to fucking stop. You're driving your parents crazy. They're only faking that they like you because they're in public.
I mean, kudos to Billy for keeping the suit on, not having a total freak out, and actually going through with it.
Yeah, he did try and do his job. You know, and that's probably credit to Mother Superior. She probably whipped him into him a good work ethic. Great. You told me last night there's something about the toy store you want to know if I noticed, and I have a feeling it has to do with what I'm about to say. My daughter was with me, you know, she was crocheting, but I started talking about all the toys I saw in the background because they're toys from my childhood. And I said, like, oh, there's so many cool toys here. So I started I was voice texting a note into my Google Docs, and I told her, like, well, I'm going to leave it in here. The voice text reads this: I keep getting distracted by all the kick-ass 80s toys in the background. Mousetrap! Because then I saw the board game Mousetrap. Loved it. So when you said you had something that you wonder if I noticed, was it toys? Was it the toys?
No.
Okay, what was it? Or
are
we there yet?
No.
Okay.
It's
right,
basically at very, very end of this fucking pandemonium that happens in the toy store. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Do you mind
anyways,
can I go pee real quick?
Yeah, go pee.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna burst and pee out of my eyeballs.
While she's gone, I'm just going to tell you, listeners, I think eventually, maybe for her birthday or April Fool's Day, I'm going to make a compilation of all of the recordings of her singing about peeing when she gets up to pee, because she does this a lot. There's at least 3 or 4 times. So maybe I'll make like a hit single of just Shandi singing about urine. That's just a secret between you and me. Okay, all right, good.
Yeah, I could not hold it any longer. Okay, I'm back.
You're back. Okay, I was talking to Margaret.
When I said Mr. Sims was like talking to him when he was drunk, he's the one that he makes his brain switch because he talks about punishing the naughty ones.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go.
In this movie, it's the word punish. In the next movie, naughty is the trigger word. But yeah, it's punish. And so he's kind of freaking out. He's kind of twitchy and stuff. And then he goes back to talk to the girl he likes. Or no, they're all hanging out drinking. And then that goofy little guy that he works with, like, takes
has some
the girl.
mistletoe. He's like, come back here with me. I got something for you.
Yeah. And it's like, we get it, cock. We get it.
But then he starts doing having the flashbacks, right? When he sees what's happening.
Yeah, and it's well done where it's kind of like framed the same way when they're flashing back and forth to the sex stuff. You know, it is funny when they're all drinking too, and Billy's like, no, earlier a little bit earlier at the toy store, they're drinking. He's like, no, and he just has like a glass of milk. It's like, how fucking weird is this kid? Like, so like weird 50s America, grew up with nuns kind of thing. But anyways, but yeah, so then they go in the back and he follows. Man, but this is where things get fun. Because he goes in the back.
Yeah, they're making out and he goes, no, come all the way back into the stockroom with me because I got something that's only for you to see. Only for you. And I'm like, ugh, barf. Yeah. Barf.
Barf. And gross me out the door.
And they're kind of like making out or whatever, but he starts getting too handsy and grabbing on her. And she's like, no, I don't want to do this. And he fucking slaps her, calls her a fucking bitch, and then decides to rape his coworker.
Yeah,
What?
That must have been some strong drinks they had at the Christmas party. Because what the fuck is the matter with you?
What?
You know what
also,
I mean?
Like, what the fuck? And
Yeah,
Billy's just watching this the whole time, and I went, if he kills this guy, I condone this murder.
Yeah, for sure. It's almost like he was a healthcare CEO, but yeah.
But I went, I'm not gonna feel bad if he kills him.
No, yeah, well, and I think, you know, they do that in horror movies sometimes, is before the rampage starts, so sometimes make the first one somebody you're like, God, thank God they're fucking dead.
Well, he murders him.
It seems like he's saving her.
Yeah, which I was like, hell yeah, I'm all about this, Santa. But he kills the guy. The girl starts freaking out, like, you're fucking crazy. Like, what did you just do?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? So
but let's talk about the kill. Yeah, well, let's talk about the kill, though, because one thing you want, when there's a movie that's themed on something, you want some themed kills, right?
Yeah.
And the first one that he does is fucking perfect, where he wraps a string of lit Christmas lights around the guy's neck. They're plugged in, so they're lit up.
Yeah,
he wraps and he strangles him, like, basically, because he's big and tall, so he just kind of, and this guy's a little shitbag, and so he just holds the guy up and like kind of strangles him in a noose made out of Christmas lights, that's a badass themed Christmas kill. And then, and it'd been a few years since I'd seen this, so I didn't remember how he reacts to the girl, but obviously it's not good because she's naughty now too because she was having sex back here or making out back here, had her boobs out, whatever, you know.
Yeah, and he grabs a fucking box cutter and just goes into her stomach and cuts up. Ugh. Ouch.
Yeah. It's and not a themed kill, just a nasty one. And they kind of go back and forth with that throughout the movie.
I've cut myself with a box cutter before. It fucking hurts.
They're sharp. I mean, I've worked with box cutters quite a bit when I worked at my uncle's carpet warehouse, because to cut carpet you often use, for smaller pieces you use a box cutter. And they were fucking nasty. So it's not. That's, not to get too fucking dark again, but I mean, that's why they used those for 9/11. You know what I mean? Like, they're small and they're really sharp and nasty.
Portable.
And very portable. And he does take it with him because we see him use it later.
Oh my God. Yeah. I can't wait till we get to that part.
Crazy. But so I want to mention the toys one more time because there's so many great 80s toys in here that I had, like the Jabba the Hutt figure is in the background. And at one point, I didn't know this one existed, but there was a board game based on the movie Crawl.
I didn't see that.
I was like,
oh man.
And I have that movie. It's like a fantasy movie. It's silly. It's not that great, but like, I'm like, I don't think it was a big hit either. So it's funny. Well, that's probably why they still have them. But Crawl board game, so good. Then he stabs her, and then we get the part where the lady's like, Mr. Sims, and she's drunk looking for Mr. Sims, and he has meanwhile come back into the stockroom to see what the hell these people are doing back here. And this is not a themed kill either, but it's good.
No. Man, it gets a hammer to the head.
Right there,
but
the top of his bald head.
My note, though, was before you even see the hammer sticking out of his head, once he gets hit, there's a great shot of the blood hitting the cardboard boxes, but you see bits of brain matter.
Yes! And I said that to my daughter. I'm like, oh my God, it's got chunks in it. That's awesome.
What a great detail.
Yeah, for sure. Because he hit him right in it's in his brain. There's brain stuff in there. You know?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And I wrote right here, a really good variety of weapons and kills, and it continues. That's only the first couple of kills. There's a bunch more, but it's always interesting. Always good kills. And so the next one would be a themed kill for a different holiday. Because then he goes out in the front, and the drunk lady's like, kind of like not sure what's going on, and finally she sees him. She's like, oh my God, and starts trying to run and get out of the store. And he shoots her with a bow and arrow, which is a toy store, and that seemed to be a real bow and arrow. So...
Yeah, but she does a really good decoy to try to get away from him.
Mm-hmm.
That was really nice. She's like,
what is it again?
Because her fucking hat.
Yes.
She's got on that little hat, that little festive Christmas hat that has probably mistletoe on top of it, and he sees it through the toy shelves, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get her right here." Takes a swing, but she's been hiding behind the boxes, and she's like, ah! And I was like, oh no, she actually might get away. Hey, she might actually make it out of this.
Yeah. But she didn't plan her exit, because it's like she just kind of stumbles out of the box and like, wow! Then he...
No, but so when she hits him with the boxes, the axe slides, she grabs it, and she goes to go hit the glass with it, and then that's when I'm like, she's going to get shot in the back. Crap.
Yep. But why do they have that on a toy store? I don't know. Like a real bow and arrow, but I don't know. Maybe it was a toy, and he's just so strong he was able to shoot it hard enough that it...
Well, you could get BB guns.
Yeah, that's true. We actually just had like 3 guys get arrested for going crazy with BB guns here. But yeah, and then of course, and then he stalks off. He kills this lady and stalks away, and then we see Sister Margaret pull up, because she had just talked to the boss on the phone, and she's like, you dress him up as Santa? Oh my God. So she tries to show up. And I wrote down, Sister Margaret is like an even less effective Dr. Loomis, who also doesn't even get to have sex. You know? Because at least Dr. Loomis shoots Michael Myers every once in a while, you know? Sister Margaret. But it's a very similar role, though. She's going around being like, this guy's fucking crazy. Listen to me. And nobody listens.
No one listens. And then when I asked you if you noticed something.
Okay. Probably not.
Yeah, I actually had to rewind it because I went, did I see that? And I did. So at about 38 minutes in, they do all these shots of like the toys and everything in the store. This is before all the fucking pandemonium happens.
Okay.
There's these shots of these nutcrackers, and their mouths are closed. After all this murder has happened, and Sister Margaret has come to the store and sees what's happening, they cut to the nutcrackers. All their mouths are wide open.
They witnessed the murder, and now they're traumatized too.
And I said, that is such a good fucking detail.
It's great. I never noticed that.
Because it went from that to the Christmas carolers singing with their mouths open. So I was like,
that's cool.
I swear I saw those nutcrackers' mouths were closed at the beginning.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I didn't notice those, and I can tell you why, though, is because those are part of, I believe, a series of shots showing other stuff in the store. And I just kept getting distracted by the animatronic Santa Claus. It's so fucking terrifying.
Oh, it's
that they keep
really
showing.
creepy.
Moving its head around like, oh my God.
Yeah,
but yeah, then it goes to, so he stalks off. Because let's get to this part. And it is getting, the show's getting long in the tooth, whatever. It's fine. But so, yeah, there's a chorus, and the kids singing are outside the house where Linnea Quigley is. And, she's supposed to be watching her sister, her little sister, but she's Linnea Quigley. And Linnea Quigley is going to Linnea Quigley, which means she's going to find a way to show her boobs in this movie.
And this will be our 5th set of boobs, by the way.
5th? Holy shit.
Yeah,
Joe
I wrote
Bob
it
Briggs
down.
over here counting all the breasts. Wow, that's crazy.
I was like, damn.
That's
Okay.
nuts. Yeah, all right, movie. And, so she's, her little sister's around, and Linnea Quigley's about to get it on with her boyfriend. And there's a really great joke here. Her boyfriend and her are making out, and he obviously wants it to turn into sex. And then the little girl almost walks in, and they're like, whoa, 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 don't come in here, And she's like, if you come in here, it's naughty. If you come in here, Santa won't come. And the boyfriend says, and he's not the only one. And the boyfriend's kind of a dickhead about it, Later, he's too mad about it. You know what I mean? Yeah, sure, you think you're about to do it, and then something happens. You can be frustrated. Why not, right? But then I feel like he holds it against her a little too much as it goes on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But right there, I would feel the same way. I don't even know if I'd make a joke that good, but not the only one. Because, shit, man, he's about to have sex with Linnea Quigley. Come on. You can be disappointed that it's not going to happen. Yeah?
Well, we already had a douchebag in the beginning say, I got something to show you.
Oh, yeah.
So,
so this guy's way better than that guy was.
Yeah.
And more attractive, but we won't hold that against the weird little guy. Anyways, because I'm a weird little guy. But yeah, so the girl kind of goes back to her room or whatever, and then they hear jingling, and Linnea Quigley says it's the cat, right?
Oh, so she's
let in the
like,
cat.
oh, these fucking, or he goes, oh, these carolers, let's kind of drown them out. So he turns on some music, but then she hears a jingling. Mm-hmm. She's like, oh, I gotta go let the cat in. And he's like, oh, how do you know that? And she's like, well, because she's got a little bell on her collar.
Right.
I gotta go let her in.
How would you hear something that far away?
Yeah. So she goes upstairs.
Yeah, and it's a great turning around because, my folks did that once in a while as a kid on Christmas Eve. Jingle some bells behind the record, be like, oh, Santa's on the rooftop, you better get to bed. That kind of stuff. So that is a thing. Christmas tradition kind of thing, like hearing the bells. And so neither one of them even connects it. And then we, the audience, know it's like, oh, fuck, that means Santa's coming. But in this movie, oh, fuck, Santa's coming to kill your ass. Not to bring you some fun stuff. Yeah.
Well, because, in horror movies, if you start having the sex and the killer's loose, you better be careful.
And you'd think even this earlier in a career, you'd think Linnea Quigley would know better. But come on. But no, and her death is fucking great.
Oh, it's so good.
Now, does this... Okay, first of all, she goes upstairs, and then he's there. And he breaks through the door. He actually Jack Nicholson's the door too. So it happens in both movies. And he has, it's such a great, it's better than, in the second movie he says naughty all the time, which is okay. I love punish. That's the only thing he says. I think it's so cool. And just so fucking weird and scary. Because you would, if some guy was chasing you, and he was either saying naughty or punish, which one would scare you more,
Well, and he was dressed like Santa, I'd go, but why, Santa?
There's that
too.
Punish just seems so much more sinister and out of place, I guess. But anyways, so, and then he throws the axe at her, which is awesome, and it just sticks in the wall, doesn't hit her. And I, of course, wrote, because I'm a sass mouth, I said, is this how the axe throwing trend started? Because, they had all those axe throwing bars for a couple years, But then, that's not how he kills her. He picks her up and just kind of, not even quickly, but just kind of slowly pushes her onto the antlers of a deer head on the wall. Of a mounted deer head.
Which is what about Santa and his reindeer?
Well, that's what I wrote, my friend. I said, does the deer head count as a themed kill?
Yes.
You think so? I think so too.
1,000 fucking %.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. You know,
Yeah,
it's great. Very fun.
And just the still shot of her just hanging there.
Yes, the next
So
shot, or
good.
it's maybe not the next shot, but right after that. The boyfriend, like, Santa's somewhere else. We don't know where Billy is now. But the boyfriend, Linnea Quigley's boyfriend, is like, where the hell did she go? So he goes looking for her. And I love that shot. He walks into the room, and as he walks in, the camera follows him, and you just see her fucking dead, bloody legs and kind of her torso hanging off the wall, hanging off this deer head, and he doesn't see it right away. And it's just like, oh, man.
And he didn't hear any of the shit going upstairs because he had the
'cause
music
a
turned
studio.
up.
And he was also talking out loud to himself about, hey, this fucking shit, I'm supposed to get late, you know. It's like, yeah. His death is the only one where I was like, really?
Yeah, I went womp womp.
It's a little, yeah. He gets chased, like he chases him around and fights back a little bit, but then he falls out the window and like that kills him because there's some of the pieces of glass kill him.
And that didn't even look good.
Well, right, and it was huge. The one that killed him, like the big one, right, that got him right in the chest or whatever, is like
And they
gigantic, and
had
it's like
one out of his face. They could have definitely killed him cooler.
yeah. Especially since all the other kills in this movie are fun. You know?
Yeah, like, okay, you just threw him through the
next
fucking
kill
window.
is fucking great.
Well, are we going to talk about when
Oh, yeah.
her little
The girl?
sister comes out and is like,
Yeah.
hello, Santa?
Yeah, and this is the point where I said, oh, well, Terrifier 3 filmmaker Damien Leone has definitely seen this, because there's a scene almost exactly like this in the beginning of Terrifier 3. So it's
Which
probably
I still
a homage.
haven't seen.
That's okay. But, I mean, it's, you know, you got Art in the Santa suit, you got bloody stuff, there's a little kid he interacts with, you know, so... but yeah,
man.
so she's like, Santa, like, and she's like, have you been good or naughty? And luckily this kid is sharp and says like, I've been good, right? Doesn't she say
Was that pun intended? This kid is sharp.
Oh, no, I'm just a genius ahead of my time. Yeah, no, of course not. I'm too dumb to notice that.
I forgot about this part and I went, is he really gonna...
Well, you thought he was going to kill her?
At first I was gonna kill her, but then I went, he is not.
Right? It's so weird. So he's like, are you naughty or good? She's like, I've been good. And so she says something about get a present, right? He reaches in his pocket, and I was like, oh, what the fuck is he getting? And he hands her the bloody box cutter that he murdered that girl with like an hour ago. Still has her fucking guts all over it.
And she just takes it and looks at it like,
This
the
guy's
fuck is
fucking crazy.
this?
But she's also, again, this girl seems pretty smart, so she doesn't really do anything. She's like, okay, thank you. You know, she's like, okay, I'll call the cops later. You know?
Well, I wrote down that's for her upcoming trauma session that she's going to have later on in life, because once he leaves, she's going to be like, Santa fucking murdered my fucking sister.
Right, and I'm going to break the unfortunate news to you right now in case you were hoping about this, but Silent Night, Deadly Night 3 focuses on Ricky again, and Silent Deadly Night 4 and 5 are not related to this story. They're more of an anthology thing after that. So unfortunately, they never do what would have been brilliant and have that girl become a fucking murderer.
Yeah.
You know, that would have been great. And have her be a murderous Santa. You can even make her a sexy Santa if you wanted to. I'm sure if it was the 80s, they still would have. But either way, she's in a Santa, like a lady in a Santa suit running around killing people. That'd be great.
Well, it'd be cool if she was just like working a dead-end job as like the elf next to the Santa, like taking the
there you
pictures,
go.
and she like gets some like this guy in the Santa suit is like nasty and gross to her all the time.
Yeah.
So she's like, fuck this Santa. I fucking hate Santas. I'm gonna kill all the goddamn Santas.
Silent Night, Deadly Night 6. Don't be elfish.
I mean, I figured the third one of this series was going to have Ricky in it because at the end of 2, he opens his
he's
fucking
just still alive.
eyes.
And I'll explain it to you how fucking disappointing it is. It's very
no.
disappointing to me on a personal level. We'll talk about that in a bit. But so we're almost at the end of Silent Night, Deadly Night 1.
Yeah.
So he throws the guy out the window. Then he goes into the woods, and we see these two kids with sleds talk about how they're gonna sled because they can't get laid. It's like, I've been there. I grew up next to a big hill. Really fun for sledding. Definitely went sledding instead of hanging out with girls a few times in my high school years, you know? So we had a big hill. Did you ever go sledding as a kid?
Yeah, we go sledding all the time. We would try to we had this hill behind a creek, and the creek would always freeze in the wintertime. So what we would try to do is build a ramp out of snow at the end, and we would try to
like ramp it.
Yeah, try to ramp the creek, but guess what would always happen? One of us would fucking hit, we would hit the ramp and either just stay on that side of the creek, or our sled would go flying out from under us, and our ass, legs, body would hit the fucking ice. And you would just hear us crying and screaming.
It hurts. Yeah, I've done that. So I live next to a very big hill. Someday you got to visit me out here for the winter. Well, we talked about coming out here for Halloween sometime, but sometimes we have snow then, so maybe it'll work. But anyways, the hill is really big. When other people who aren't from here see the hill we sled down, they're like, "Shit, it's like a big hill for sledding. Sweet. It's like a bunny hill for skiing. It's big." And so we would. It was awesome. And so that's always been the famous sledding spot down here. And yeah, if you get going fast enough, you could jump the train tracks at the bottom. And get over, but it's really hard to do. But yeah, sledding rules. And so I was like, when these guys were like, "Oh, could we get late?" I'm like, "Fuck it, sledding's better." But then they get their sleds taken by these two fucking bullies.
Yeah, I wrote, "You're so cool, bullying kids out of their fucking sleds. Like the hell."
These other two assholes get the sleds, and the first guy goes down and it's fine. And then the second guy goes down, and I forgot about this kill. So when you see Billy standing towards the end of the sled run and the guy's coming, I'm like, "Oh, fuck yes, this is perfect." And it was. They did exactly what I wanted them to do.
I know.
He doesn't even really swing his axe, because you can get sledding fast enough, you know. He basically holds the axe out and just chops the guy's head off. It's so good. And then but his body continues sledding to get down to the bottom of the hill where his friend is. He's like, "Oh no!"
The friend's scream made me laugh.
Yes,
it was so funny.
I love that guy's scream. So good. Because it was like, I love those screams, and it's normally when a dude does it, where it's like way not masculine.
It was really funny.
Like, yeah, this fucking guy who's pushing over these other kids screams like a little baby when he sees his headless friend show up. So.
I like that the head follows after.
Yeah, just rolls. It's a really good kill. I mean, It's maybe the best kill in the movie. A definitely themed kill, obviously winter, sledding, whatever, Christmas. But I mean, yeah, I do love the new set made out of Christmas lights, and I love Linnea Quigley's death. So there's a bunch. I mean, this movie, you know, in some ways it's like, well, maybe it could be better. But I mean, it's really interesting, and the kills when they do start showing up, they're good, and there's plenty of them, and they happen in pretty quick succession, and they're great. And then after this, we get a little breather where the nun, we have not seen her talk to this cop before, but it kind of seems like there was a part cut out where they met earlier or something.
Yeah,
right?
I felt that something was a little off.
Because he just walks out, she's sleeping on this bench at the detective's office, and he's like, "Hey," and so they're like trying to figure it out, which I love. And I wrote down, I would love a TV show about the nun and the detective solving holiday-themed crimes every episode,
that
right?
would be
great.
Awesome.
And there was the Nun and Priest mystery show that I never watched with the Father Dowling Mysteries. You remember that one?
No.
But yeah, so anyway, so the nun and the cop and the detective guy are figuring stuff out, and the detective seems he's not in this movie much, and like Shandy said, he kind of just shows up, and it's a little jarring, but like he's a good guy because like he helps her. He's like, "Hey, yeah, we gotta help," because they both are like, "We gotta help this kid." You know, they both kind of say that, you know. And obviously they want to stop the murders, but
yeah, but it's not just like, oh, just like you said, they understand what's happening, like why this is happening. Yeah, it's
a Christmas thing and Santa, yeah. And so they start finally trying to mobilize. Meanwhile, Billy's really making good time. He's used his murder spree efficiently.
Yeah, he's killed really 8 people.
Yeah, 8 people. Jeez,
yeah.
It's a very efficient murder spree. And he's just fucking clocking it. And so he's at the school, or he gets to the orphanage. And at this point, people are aware of what's been going on. Because you see other cops talking about it. And you see the nuns at the orphanage talking about it. Like, are we still going to, the kids are very scared, but we're going to do this thing, you know. And then something really terrible happens. That we're going to traumatize all these children. Right? Because one of the cops gets to the orphanage, and they basically say, if you see Santa Claus, shoot to kill. It's kind of a well-played tragic moment because like, if you were one of the detective guys, you would probably tell people, like, if you see Santa, shoot him, because this is bad, right? He's killed, like you said, 8 people.
Yeah, shoot to kill.
But maybe identify.
But it's Christmas Eve. How many people are dressed in Santa costumes?
Yeah, but you gotta kind of maybe do a little bit more detective work before you pull the trigger.
A little bit.
Yeah, but he shoots the guy, and then they say it's a
back though.
Right, they say it's a priest. They say it was a priest who did that, who was their Santa every year. That's what they say. And then
they say
you
he
probably
was deaf and he couldn't hear him say stop.
Right, exactly. And then I don't know if you caught this, but here's how incompetent Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 is, because they're like, it was a janitor who was deaf. It's like, did you not watch the first movie? They say it's a priest.
Okay, good. I wasn't hearing things wrong.
No, you didn't make it up. I double checked too, buddy, but I was like, because my gut thing was like, well, maybe I got it wrong. I'm like, no, wait, this movie's got to be wrong because it's this movie.
It's the movie.
And yes, they were wrong.
But did you notice that the kid that was reaching out to shake Santa's hand was fucking Ricky?
Yeah. What a great move. There's some really clever, fun story stuff in this. I really think it's good. And, I enjoy it. The first time I watched it, I thought it was okay, but I really enjoyed it this time. We'll definitely make it a yearly rotation. My daughter wants to watch the rest of it sometime, too. Yeah, so then they kill the wrong Santa. Oh, shit. But it's like...
This is when I said again, Jesus! Like you said,
yeah,
now
exactly.
all these kids are fucking traumatized.
Yeah, exactly. This is a bad movie to be... You don't want to be a kid in this movie. You don't want to be... I watch other movies like, oh, I wish I was a kid in that movie. You don't want to be a kid in Silent Night, Deadly Night. Oh, my God. Because none of them make it out without emotional scars. But so then they tell they call up the nun and the detective who are still on their way. And they're like, oh, we shot the wrong Santa. They're like, okay, well, that's too bad, but the other one's coming. It's like there's not a moment to mourn. And so police guy, deputy, whatever he is, goes and tells Mother Superior that. And she is, of course, unnecessarily rude to him.
Of course.
And he's like, we got to keep him from hurting these children. We have to keep him from hurting the children. It's like, yeah, I just fucking said that, And it's like, don't let anyone in here. I won't let anybody in here. It's like, yeah. It's like, why are you fucking yelling at him? I mean, okay, he did just shoot your friend. Okay, that's true. He did just shoot somebody. Never mind. Maybe I take that back. Because she does say, he's like, I don't want any harm to come to the children. And she does, do you remember the really good line she burns him with right after that?
What does she say?
All I've seen you do is harm. Because he shows up and kills Santa Claus, her friend, the priest, in front of all these kids, So,
and don't they keep the same cop that killed the priest at the orphanage?
Yeah, so he's still there. I mean, because this all happens within a few minutes, right? So it's like all part of one thing happening.
He killed the wrong dude, and you're gonna keep him there? Like, maybe tell him
the thing is
your shift's over.
Yeah, but it's not that kind of situation. It's emergency, right? Because that's why the detective and the nun are like, well, he's still coming. So even though you're a fucking idiot, you better stay there. It's like, because there's not another person to get there right away. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, shit, we got to leave this guy here. He's got a gun, clearly knows how to use it. So, and knows what Santa Claus looks like. So, but then he goes around the building to check the perimeter or whatever, and goes into this weird cellar thing and thinks he's scot-free. And then when he comes up, what does Billy do to him?
I think he gets him in the chest with the axe.
He does, okay. And then he falls down the stairs. That's still another pretty brutal death, if I remember. But, yeah, and then he goes, so then Billy, the cop's out of the way. That Santa murdering maniac is out of the way. And so Billy goes into the orphanage. And that's when he's like getting ready to kill Mother Superior, right?
Yeah, and the shit that she says, I'm like, she just wants to keep traumatizing the children. Mm-hmm. The thing that she chants.
What is it?
Santa isn't real.
Yeah. What the hell? And she like makes them stay there and sing too. It's like,
like what the fuck?
It's very strange. Yeah, it's like not. How'd this woman even get this job? There's other nun jobs where you don't have to traumatize youth for 30 years. So, like, how'd she get this job with the children?
The Lord. It works. The Lord's love and light works in mysterious ways.
Oh, and I forgot, there's this note I wrote, like, so that deputy, this is after he kills the wrong Santa, so that deputy just created, like, 20 more Billies. Good job.
I mean, how are there not 20 of these sequels? One for each kid.
Almost. But then I forgot, as Billy's walking in, he cuts the head off a snowman, which I say counts as a themed kill.
Yep.
Yeah, and then he's about to kill her. And I didn't take any more notes after this, because then it's kind of like what you figure is going to happen, He's about to... Mother Superior's still being a bitch to him, which is amazing that she would do that. But he's going to kill her, and then Miss Sister Margaret comes in, and I forget what she says to him.
I think she comes in right behind the lieutenant who shoots
Right.
him in the back as he's got his arms raised. And I was really hoping that he got at least one swing in at Mother Superior because she deserved it. But no.
Yeah. Nope.
That was a cool shot because Billy's dying. He goes, "You're safe for now. Santa's gone."
Yeah.
But you know what I thought I heard, and I had to rewind it? I thought he said Santa is God. Which I was like, what a great thing to say to Mother Superior.
It would make no sense given his worldview, but yeah, it would be fun.
Santa is God.
So he dies, and then the axe falls right at the feet of young Ricky, and then it pans up to his face.
Ricky's fucking face, the way he looks at Mother Superior, and then it's just a still shot of his face.
He says naughty.
Naughty.
And then it freezes. And then that's what the whole next movie is about that. Well, actually, the whole next movie is this movie. And then it's its own movie for
40 minutes
half an hour.
40?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, well, here's the thing. It's about 30 some odd minutes of footage of part one, with little parts interspersed of adult Ricky at the asylum talking to a doctor, but like it's pretty much just this movie for the first half, and it's crazy. And like we said earlier, I kind of like the second half of Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. I kind of enjoy it, but it's just that you already have lost any goodwill for that movie. By the time you get there, because the first half of the movie that we barely even need to talk about is just because we already talked about it because it's this movie. It's just Ricky's in the asylum. He's this doctor is questioning him and recording him, interrogating him, kind of thing.
Yeah, and he's just so fucking weird in his delivery of every line.
Yeah. The actor is, of course. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say it's great acting, but I don't want to say it's bad. And I wrote a few notes here, like I have a bit of a hard time calling Eric Freeman, that's the actor playing Ricky, as an adult. I have a bit of a hard time calling his acting bad. It definitely feels like he's trying to be cold and calculating, but the acting is too wooden and unnatural to pull that off. But the way he ends up doing it does kind of make the character like weird and creepy and like not part of our reality. And so... it's not great, but I also would not say that it doesn't work. It kind of works for me that he's like this. I don't know.
It kind of works because when somebody kind of acts sporadic and strange like that, and you don't understand why, I mean, even at the very beginning when the orderly is setting up the tape recorder, you can tell he's trying to keep his eyes on him because he's fucking terrified of him.
Yeah, and he's big.
Yeah.
And another note I was like, was Macho Man their other grandpa? Or like, why are these guys so fucking jacked, But, yeah. And the other thing about this movie, yes, it absolutely sucks that we have to watch part of the other movie. Because a lot of people are going to watch this as a double feature. We both did. It's a fun thing to do. But holy shit, now you have to watch part of the movie that you literally just took out of your Blu-ray player. In my case, it's like, oh my God. But what's fun about it is there's still these weird fucking interactions in between. Because, obviously Billy had weird dreams. That was a big part of the first half of the first movie. Mm-hmm. So the doctor's like, do you have bad dreams? I don't sleep. But Billy had bad dreams.
The whole first half, I was just so bored.
Yeah. It's hard to enjoy it, and I knew it was coming, so it made it easier for me to enjoy the interrogation parts. I mean, I forget what they're talking about, but I absolutely, when I think about this movie, yes, garbage day, okay, but everybody thinks about that. But when I think about this movie, the other thing I think about is a shot in this first half where he's just doing the interrogation thing and talking about what happened in the first movie. But as it progresses, the doctor starts kind of noticing things about Ricky's story that stand out, and that the color red is a problem, and da-da-da-da. And so Ricky starts getting more intense in his answers and the way he's telling the story. And at one point, I forget what they're talking about, but like it's a close-up on the doctor's face, and then it like Ricky's face is right there, like a centimeter away from the doctor's face, talking to him.
And the doctor seemed surprised that he was there.
Yeah. It's like he's a sneaky murderer.
You're in this tiny little room, though. How do you have your eyes off of him?
It's like Jason Powers, Suddenly Jason's behind you. It's like slashers have those magic abilities. I don't know. I'm just glad it happened because that shot is so funny and so homoerotic, and it's great.
Well, then Dr. Bloom is like sweating at one point after he's talking about a story, and I was like, why is he so fucking sweaty?
Because at that point, Ricky's telling him about 2 murders no one knows about.
Oh, that's right. He's like, I don't have these in my notes. There's that whole scene of Ricky's first kill.
With the car?
Yeah, he's running that guy over.
Yeah.
And I expected the girl to run over and do the same thing to him and say, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're fucking psycho.
Yeah.
But she goes, thank you.
Yeah. I agree with her because that guy fucking sucked. He was trying to rape his girlfriend.
Yeah, I went, you know what? These 2 brothers are heroes.
Yeah, every once in a while. And then they take it too far.
Taking out the rapists.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's why I said much earlier in this episode that something I like about this part, too, is that it's like, maybe he's going to kind of be a vigilante about it, but then, and like only kill assholes. And we see that, but then it goes too far, and obviously, but the guy's acting like, so they also show him like when he has a meet cute, as close as this movie's going to get to a meet cute, but he meets a lady when he falls off a motorcycle, and his acting falling off the motorcycle is even weird and stiff. It's like, how'd you fucking do that?
Funny.
It's like his acting is so strange and poorly done sometimes that I'm like, it's got to be a choice, and the guy's actually a fucking genius. Because, like, do you know what I mean? Like, when he fell off the motorcycle, it did look like it was real, even though he fell off the motorcycle. Like, it was real. But he acts so poorly that it doesn't look real. You know what I mean?
When she hits me, and he, like, realizes, like, mid-scene.
It's so weird. It's so weird. And then, so he and the lady, because he's kind of attractive, I guess, and he's like, I never wanted to lose her. Okay. And his voice is so close to Dave Mustaine in Sweating Bullets by Megadeth. Hello, me. It's me again. You know that one? Anyways, so they go on a date to the movies, and it's like, that's why I brought up Taxi Driver. I'm like, oh, weird vigilantes taking dates to movies never works out. And these 2 guys in the theater that are yelling and stuff are unbelievably distracting.
Did you notice that the couple in between them, the girl was trying really hard not to laugh?
Oh, really? She liked the guy's jokes. I don't know. But what's weird is, so the guy's yelling and talking during the movie, which sucks. We've all been there. But then he starts like making comments about Ricky and his date making out. It's like, that is fucking weird. I've never seen that happen in a movie, right? I mean, like when I'm at the movies, what?
Kiss, kiss, kiss her, kiss her.
Yeah, that's so weird, right? That he's doing that.
And then he it made me mad that he took it to like, oh, you must be gay, bro.
Yeah, well, that's, 1987. Again, not trying to excuse it, but I mean, that kind of shit was going on. Yeah, you must be gay because you're not kissing her. But I do like the girl. The girl character is good, Jennifer. And she's like, well, I know you're not, because she's like, yeah, this guy is fucking pounding me raw.
But when they sit down and he's like, what movie is this? And she's like, it's a movie about a guy dressed in a Santa suit, murders people. And he goes, what? And then he just like disappears.
What? Yeah, it's crazy. I love it.
And then they show like the scene from the first movie.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, but this is a character for the first movie, so what the fuck is happening? Like in Halloween 3 is an anthology part, right? Halloween 3 doesn't take part, is separate from the other Halloween films. So in that movie, there's a point where someone's watching Halloween. Okay, that makes sense. This is a character watching a movie about himself, and he didn't know that he didn't know it had been made.
But it's funny because, oh my God. Then Jennifer's like ex shows up all of a sudden, Chip. And then,
of course, his fucking name is Chip, too. I'm like, God, these guys are always named Chip.
And Chip's there with another girl who's just standing in the aisle watching him
like,
talk.
Sleazily try and, oh, God, it's disgusting.
But when you just see Ricky's face show up in front of the guy that was like heckling them, oh,
it's so good because they really
funny.
play into it too. It's great. It's honestly great, and the way they play into it too, because you got that guy's been heckling and talking throughout the movie, and the camera's pretty close on him, and then it'll kind of do a pan over to his friend. They're like, right, yeah, right, and then it does it again, and then it goes forward a third time, and now it's fucking Ricky, and he's right there. Like I said, he's got magical Jason powers, right? Because now he's fucking right there.
The way that kid's so Ricky like kind of like pushes him in between the aisle seats, and just popcorn goes flying everywhere. You just see his legs, but you don't see Ricky anymore.
Yeah.
And there's no kill there, but I guess we assume there's a kill.
Yeah, or just like fucked him up. I don't know. It's really funny.
It's just so comical.
Everything in there is like, everything in that is crazy. And then it's like, and now we're almost at the end, but because this movie's only fucking 40 minutes long. But then he's like walking down the street with Jennifer, and they're talking about like going shopping or something. He's like, hey, we're going shopping later or whatever. And then I don't even know how this happens, but they come upon Chip fixing his car, which is red. Mm-hmm. I forget how the conversation goes, but Ricky had implied a little bit earlier than this that he thought Jennifer was like pure and a virgin like him, because he's like, I'd never done it before. I thought she hadn't either.
I was really hoping in that movie scene that like Ricky was going to go over while Chip was talking to Jennifer and be like, who the fuck are you?
Crush him. Yeah, but didn't. But now it happens. And it escalates quickly.
This was a cool kill, though.
It is a cool kill. Yeah, and it also was like, okay, well, somewhere along the line, well, we do see Ricky riding a motorcycle, and, there are, one of my good friends is the kind of motorcycle guy where you know how motorcycles work, and you take care of it, and you know how cars work. You're basically a part-time mechanic. And so, okay, Ricky has a motorcycle, and so we see here, like, well, he does have knowledge how, like, jumper cables work. Like, because he turns the dial up on the battery pack and everything, and makes Chip's head explode.
I think he just shoves it right in his mouth. But don't his, like, eyeballs explode?
His eyeballs explode and blood out of his face. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
I mean, the head's clearly fake, but it's still awesome. And it's just... The craziest part to me is that Jennifer's, like, right there, and she doesn't do anything, and Ricky doesn't even really acknowledge her. What does he do to Jennifer right after this? Does it happen right after, or does the cop show up first?
I think the cop shows up first. Because she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're a fucking psycho.
Yeah, and then the cop shows up, and then Ricky kills the cop, and then takes the gun and shoots her. That's right. Jennifer's just standing there watching Ricky make this guy's head blow up, and I just wrote, not a very strong reaction for watching your new boyfriend make your old boyfriend's face explode.
Also, from 0 to 100.
Yeah, this fucking guy. Well, he's a maniac. We kind of knew that, so oops. There's a whole kind of point I want to make here. So there's a great line in the movie part where Chip's talking to Jennifer, trying to tell her that they should go out again, and she keeps telling him, like, no, I don't want to talk to you. Like, she's really clear, right? Mm-hmm. And Chip at one point is like, what are you trying to say? And I loved that. I thought it was intentionally funny because it's obvious what she's saying. You know what I mean? And so there's that. And then his face exploding is kind of crazy. And then when the cop gets out of the car, the cop's hat is all tilted and silly. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
And so part of me thinks this is intentionally crazy, which then makes Ricky's acting make a little bit more sense.
You know what? It kind of makes me think, is this like a weird fever dream that he's having?
It could be, yeah.
Because of all the trauma that's, because like sometimes you get to a point where trauma breaks your fucking brain.
Yeah. Which, yeah, you could be. But then it comes to this head where it's like, well, if this is all hallucination, it's a pretty boring one after that, because, like, we've had this whole movie building up to this killing spree that's a guy in a sweater holding a gun that has 5 bullets left.
Well, it's just his fucking way he's laughing, though, and, like, looking at the gun after he just shoots random people that are coming out of their houses.
Yeah, like he can't believe it. Yeah. And I will never understand what that's supposed to mean, though, Garbage day! And he shoots the guy. What?
Because he's
I mean,
taking out his garbage?
I know that, but it's like, even that's kind of like, okay, well, why are you saying this?
Well, and then, so does it end, that scene end when we think he's going to kill himself?
Yeah.
But then he doesn't have any bullets left?
Yeah, and the cops, again, just like in the end of the first movie, some of these cops are a little sympathetic. They're like, don't do it, man. They don't want him to die.
Yeah.
And then he's out of bullets. And so that's how his spree ended. And so then it kind of meets up with the timeline of him in the asylum getting interviewed. And he finishes telling his story. And I thought, you know what? Whatever else is going on in this movie, okay. This little scene is fucking brilliant. When they reveal what has happened.
Mm-hmm.
In the doctor office.
This is what I was expecting to see.
You were expecting to see that?
I was waiting. I said, when is he going to kill the doctor?
Yeah.
Because they've insinuated that by
Yeah.
the orderly's scared of him, so he's super, super fucking dangerous.
Right.
We hadn't
And the
seen
sweat.
the rampage yet.
Yeah.
So we don't know how dangerous he is. The doctor's coming to the realization that oh shit, maybe he shouldn't be alone in the room with him.
He choked him with the tape, right? We only see the afterwards.
Yeah, which was awesome. You think you're safe, and that's a great way to, what is this guy going to kill him with? Because I was like, he's smoking a cigarette while he's doing the thing. And I was like, I guess he could put his cigarette out in the guy's eye. But what else could he do? And it didn't even come to my mind that he could strangle him with that tape.
Like we said, both these movies have good kills, interesting things. The only lame kills really are just, I'm going to shoot people with a gun. And it's kind of silly. But it's still fun. The whole thing's still fun.
Well, he kills the Salvation Army guy. So then I realized what time of year it is. And I went, oh no, it's fucking Christmas time again. That's why he planned all this to get out.
Then he calls Mother Superior. He's like, his dad is back. And yeah, we see. And I wrote down, that's a themed kill, right? The Santa bell ringer guy, that's a themed kill.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's a good one too.
Yeah, so now we're getting to wrap this one up all of a sudden. Mother Superior, we find out, has had a stroke and quit being a shitty nun. So now she's just a shitty old lady.
She's still in a wheelchair, though.
Still in a wheelchair, and has weird bubbles on her face. And we don't know, they don't really explain why. Maybe it's just that her hatred finally boiled out of her. I don't know.
Yeah, because it looked all bruised
poetic.
and
it's
boils.
And it could be a stroke thing, I suppose. I don't know enough about strokes, but did you notice the street number on her house, her address?
Yeah, she lives at 666.
Right, so
awesome.
I love that. Again, so that's not subtle at all, and yet that's the most subtle messaging in either one of these movies. Well, yeah, it's because they don't focus on it, but you see it pretty clearly.
When he comes upon their house, there's children playing outside, and they have a little wind-up Santa Claus toy that's on the sidewalk, and it falls over, and he fucking hits it with an axe.
Yeah. That part's great. I forgot about that.
I said, okay, this is what should have been this whole movie.
Right.
Should have had little subtleties like this.
It's like I said towards the beginning of this, it's like the guy wanted to make a real movie, and the producer just wanted him to fucking make some shitty cash in. So it's kind of half and half. But yeah, that's a great part. I'm glad you brought that up. But then, so then he's in the house, and he's, she kind of knows he's coming, maybe. I don't know. But so she's upstairs, and she's got her wheelchair at the top of the staircase, and he tries to kill her and gets his knife stuck in the chair. She falls out and rolls down the stairs. However, Mother Superior must have been thinking something out, because she's got another wheelchair down there. Did you notice that? She's got a second wheelchair set up.
She's ready to go.
So she gets in that. And it helps her for a little bit.
Yeah, and I was actually surprised by how strong she was against him. When she's pushing was it a dresser that she kept pushing at the door?
Yeah. Well, she's powered by her hatred for children. Well, and the guy, I have a friend in a wheelchair whose upper body strength is very good, so maybe that's part of it too, because you have to wheel yourself around all the damn time.
That's true.
So
she does get the door locked. I was kind of shocked by that.
Mm-hmm. And then she goes to get a knife, and she has a weird little smile when she pulls the knife out. She's like, yes, the good old days of violence against children. Getting reminiscent. But
I did go when she got the door locked. I was like, are you serious? You think that's going to stop him? He's been putting an axe through the door.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But it saves her some time, though, like you said.
Yeah.
they find her sitting in the chair, and they're like, Mother Superior, Mother Superior. And I went, and that he was just like standing behind something, and then he came out at them.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. So they come in and they find, and she, so they come in and Mother Superior's at the table, and they're like, Mother Superior, and then they get closer and her head falls off.
Yeah, I went, oh, please have her head fall off, because I hadn't seen this. So I was like, yes, please don't have her head be there. That'll be so fucking awesome.
Did he cut her head off and then set it there very carefully?
Yeah, and he says to her, haha, naughty this.
Yes, that's a great line. It's very stupid, but I like it. Because naughty this doesn't make any sense grammatically, but it's still fun that he did it.
It's not as stupid as what he says before he gets shot. Do you remember what he said?
No, what does he say?
He says, boo.
Oh, yeah.
Wrong fucking holiday.
Right.
Missed opportunity.
He's not good at this. Ho, ho, ho.
Yes, he could have said ho, ho, ho.
That's coal in your stocking. You didn't leave me any milk and cookies. Anyways, yeah. But yeah, then they're just kind of like, well, you think he's dead. And I can't remember what else happens, but...
well, I just wrote, it's so sad that he died the same way his brother died. I thought.
And I wrote, maybe, just maybe, the whole nun system is fucked up.
I was really, you know what?
Maybe.
I'm glad Mother Superior got hers finally in this film. Yeah. I was kind of hoping Margaret was going to get like some kind of scar or something.
But she was a good guy.
Is she in the third one?
No.
Are there any nuns in the third one?
Let's wrap this up and I'll explain the sequels to you real quick. So, because it's fun and we definitely need to. But so basically they've got him. And this movie doesn't even deserve much conversation because they fucking mailed it in, fucking phoned it in, I mean. Anyways, maybe both things work. Anyways, so then he's shot, whatever, and the Mother Superior's dead, thank God. Then camera pans back up Ricky's dead body, and I forget what else. They show a couple other things, but then his eyes open.
And he smiles.
And he smiles, his weird-ass acting smile. Oh no. Part 3 comes out 2 years later, okay? And so we've got 2 Twin Peaks actors and another David Lynch favorite. Eric DeRay, who plays Leo in Twin Peaks, a shitty husband, is in it for a little bit. Richard Bamer, who plays Benjamin Horne in Twin Peaks, is in it as a doctor. And Ricky is now being portrayed by someone who at this point had become a fan favorite horror actor, Bill Moseley.
Oh, shit.
Exactly. That's what I said. I was like, fuck yes.
Hell yeah.
And, yeah, right? You'd think so. And then there's also this whole thing of, like, Ricky's in a coma, and Richard Bamer's playing this doctor who's, like, studying him and stuff. And it's, like, kind of creating this, like, dream reality. And then Laura Herring she has, like, clairvoyancy powers. Uh-huh. And so she kind of starts, she's blind, actually, that's right. And the doctor has brought her in to kind of contact Ricky's brain and help him study Ricky, right? But then in some way they get him to wake up and then he like goes to kill people again. But here's the problem. He looks really fucking cool because in keeping Ricky alive, they had to expose a bunch of his brain. Oh. So it's Bill Moseley with this brain dome. Okay.
Whoa.
And now let's think about Bill Moseley for a second because I love the guy and we're Twitter friends. We've interacted a little bit. Fucking awesome guy, okay? And when you think about Bill Moseley's 2 most famous roles, Texas Chainsaw 2, right, as Chop Top. And then, of course, in the Rob Zombie movies where he plays Otis in the House of a Thousand Corpses movies, right? Mm-hmm. And so think about this. What's a characteristic about those 2 characters? What's one of the best things about them?
His voice.
Uh-huh. His voice and his lines, right? He says a lot of great lines in both cases, right?
Yeah.
Ricky in this movie doesn't talk. Like, there's maybe 1 or 2 mumbled lines. And I was like, why did you do that?
I wish you could see my face right now. I'm
turning and going, insane?
How do you have this actor not say a goddamn thing in your movie?
A character who talked all the time in the last movie. And it's like, dude, and you get like this guy right off of being a wonderful blabby character and who talks all the time in Texas Chainsaw 2. It's like, what the hell? So it's just another case of like these people not knowing what they're doing. And it's not a very exciting movie. It's pretty fucking boring. There's like 2 kills. It's like nothing.
Should this movie just be called Silent Night Missed Opportunities?
Yeah, it's just bad. No. So it's just not great. And then there's Ricky finally dies in the end of this one. Laura wishes the lieutenant Merry Christmas. And then she has a vision of Ricky talking to the camera going, and a Happy New Year. So it's like, okay, what? But he's dead. Okay, so then Silent Night Deadly Night 4, not related at all, takes place in Los Angeles. 0 Christmas imagery.
What?
Maybe a tiny little bit. But it is at Christmas time, and the second time I watched with commentary. I was shocked to find out that it was written as a sequel to this movie, or a part of the series, because Silent Night Deadly Night 4 is about, I forget the actress's name, but she's smoking hot, who works at a bookstore and gets involved with some witches, and all the witchcraft involves like bugs and stuff, and so it's a weird, lots of bug monsters and giant cockroaches and a lot of weird bug magic and lesbian stuff. It's a pretty fucking hot, like, it's like not great, but it's a pretty entertaining movie, but it has nothing to do with this, except they do the thing we were talking about. She's watching Silent Night Deadly Night 3 at one point.
That's the 4th one?
Yeah, and the 4th one, right? So yeah, but other than that, there's like no Christmas stuff in it. But I enjoy it. But the thing is, it's an enjoyable movie. It's pretty good, and it's got Reggie Bannister, who's Reggie from the Phantasm series, in it, and some other great. Clint Howard is in it. He's also in the 5th one as a different character. But the 5th one has legendary Hollywood actor Mickey Rooney as an evil toy maker who makes toys that blow people up and kill them and stuff. And then it has like this guy who you just know the whole time, and it turns out he's like this. He's a toy. He's like a clockwork man. You know.
See, that's a cool premise.
Yeah, it's a great premise, and it's it doesn't play off the premise as much as you wish, but it's still fun to watch. And so. To me, this series is great for parts 1, 4, and 5. That's why I think they're fun. 2 and 3 are kind of like, eh. 3, I mean, the image of Bill Moseley walking around, he's not in a Santa Claus outfit, but he's just like walking around the city with a knife in a surgical gown with his fucking brain exposed. And it's like, that's great, but why isn't he talking?
That makes me so mad. What? Okay, well, do you think what would be a line that he would say?
Yeah, well, let's see. You had punish, and then you had naughty. I think maybe the subtitle of this movie would be better watch out. That'd be good, right? Before he kills somebody. I don't know. Anyways, but so Merry Christmas, everybody. We are going to get another Christmas episode, and maybe even a little surprise out for people. But it was fun to watch these, right?
That first one is so, to me, it's like a quintessential 80s horror movie.
For sure. I agree.
It has all the elements that you want. Fucked up kids, a holiday, murder, mayhem, great kills, lots and lots of boobs.
I was going to say boobies all over the place.
Like,
stupid lines.
I just kept going, more boobs?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird to me that like a Christmas movie, they're like, we got to up the titties. Like,
I mean, I meant to say this though, but can you imagine growing up as a man and the trauma that you had? Your trigger is boobs.
Yeah, I can't watch. Yeah, and there's titties everywhere. It is a smart move for making it be a horror movie. They're like, well, we gotta have breasts all over. Let's make it a thing.
I wanted to ask at the end here, Timmy, have you been naughty or nice this year?
I think I've been nice this year.
Okay.
We started a podcast. I went to New York and met some Whitest Kids fans. My daughter turned 13. I'm still talking to her.
You have good parenting tips on this podcast for all you parents out there.
So yeah, I think so. What about you? Have you been good this year?
I guess I was nice this year.
Well, you help cats.
I did rescue a cat that somebody was very naughty.
Right.
And dumped. So.
And you're nice. You let me crash with you when I didn't want to spend money on hotels.
All right.
That was nice.
I guess we will not be punished this year.
I don't think so. But I should probably go feed my kid because then she might who knows. I don't want dinner to take so long that 10 years from now she's walking around with an axe in the street. Although I'm raising her in a way that she'd probably kill the right people. Anyways, Well, this was another episode of Earnful of Popcorn, Christmas time. And thank you to everybody for watching it. It's been, check this out, Shandy. Hey, everybody. It's been a gift making this podcast and having you actually listen to it. See what I did there?
It's our gift to your ear holes.
Ear holes. It's like Christmas jokes. But thank you once again to Jordan Cooper for making the awesome theme. Steve Ward from Canada for doing the graphics and stuff.
I was going to say, please just always say he's from Canada.
Does he know that I am doing this, by the way? Does he know that I thought he was British?
Yeah. And he thought it was really funny.
Because I know you're still friends. You talk to him all the time. Okay, yeah. So good. I hope he knows that I'm going to continually referencing his nationality now. So. Do all the social media spiel. You're so good at it.
Hi, yeah. And why did my brain just break when you said social media?
Because you're a good human, and that's the appropriate response to social media. Is just shutting down and like.
Well, I mean, we're losing TikTok, which I'm not that mad about.
We're losing TikTok.
Yeah, it's getting banned in.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, in January.
Oh, because they found it was made by brown people.
Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, literally, that's why. I mean, I know there's all the Chinese security thing.
It's so stupid.
Yeah. Anyways, well, find us on Instagram at Earnful of Popcorn, right?
And we have a website too, earnfulofpopcorn.com. You can listen to our episodes there. You can check out the movie posters that I think are cool for each of the movies that we talk about. A lot of them are foreign movie posters because I think those are the best ones.
Okay, well, good night.
Good night.
And good luck. Merry Christmas. Well, we'll get another one out before Christmas, but how about this? Be good. Don't be naughty, right? Okay.
Don't you know what you're doing?
Say that again. Say that again.
Don't you know what you're doing?
Good. There's a button for the end. That's good.
Don't you know what you're doing?